Hi, today I have somebody with me that I have known for a very long time. In fact, I met him, well, I didn't meet him, I heard about him in 1983-84 when I worked for the Orlando Sentinel. And I heard about a young attorney working in the state prosecutor's office. And what the reporters said were amazing for reporters because they called this young guy very full of integrity, yet very humble. So I know I've said this to you before, and that's just also my opinion as I've gotten to know you more. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Thank you, Edie. My name is Mel Stack. I'm an attorney that's been practicing in the Daytona Beach area since 1980. As you mentioned, I started off in the state prosecutor's office. Did that for about 10 years, really enjoyed it. But my boss lost the election, so I decided I was going to go into private practice and start doing estate planning. So I did a lot of studying in that area and ended up doing that for the last 30 years of practice. Since this is my 40th year in practice, but the last 30 years I've done estate planning. It's hard to fathom that long a time practicing law. But when I went into estate planning, what I do for people is I do wills, trusts, powers of attorney, all those things that people put off that don't want to do those type of things, but say they would want to do them. And it's a good thing to have them because I always tell people if you don't have a plan, the state of Florida has a plan for you. So we avoid the state of Florida's plan, which is not necessarily what you would want happen. So we do that, and it's a very simple process. More people think it's more difficult. They go like, what do I need to bring in with me? You go, well, bring in your significant other, your spouse, and we'll sit down and discuss what your wishes are. And we'll talk about where things will go, because that's the division of assets after you're gone is the most important thing. But also I tell people planning for incapacity while you're here is also important, because many people have heard of guardianships and they're kind of unfamiliar with what a guardianship is. A guardianship is a court-appointed person that runs your life. And to avoid that, you do this estate planning by doing advanced directives, powers of attorney, living wills, healthcare powers of attorney. You now decide, as opposed to a person in a black robe, as to how your life is conducted if you no longer have capacity.
I am a big advocate to my friends and anyone that will listen to have a will and to have things in place, because especially for parents, I think it's the biggest gift they can leave their children, just to know your wishes. I mean, it's kind of a fact that there is a beginning, middle, and end to everyone's life. And it's nothing to be afraid of. Speaking of being afraid, how has business been through the COVID pandemic? Has things changed? How are things going?
Things have actually not changed a whole lot for me. Now my clients, some of them would prefer not to come in the office, and that's fine, and I'd be glad to do a consultation over the telephone with them. But the one thing that we need to do is sign the documents once you've told me what you want. And so to accommodate those people that have concerns, we will go down into the parking lot and actually witness, we call them drive-by signings we're doing now. So not just drive-through for pickup for food, you can do a drive-by signing for your will or trust or power of attorney. We'll be glad to accommodate you. So that's kind of the biggest thing. We're back up to having appointments in the office again. Some people come in with masks, and if they want a mask, that's fine. If they want me to have a mask on, that's fine. We're here to accommodate whatever your wishes are or concerns.
That's great to hear, because I never really thought about it, but wow, drive-through signing, I like it. What's your favorite thing about what you do?
I just love my clients. They're so, I mean, to try to describe it, they become kind of extended family to me once they become a client. And I've learned so much from clients because I don't just sit there and ask you about your estate planning documents, although that's very important, but I want to know about you individually. So getting to know my clients and what their family is like is really important, in understanding the dynamics within their family helps me give them better advice in the long run. So it's that personal touch that I try to give to the client, and it's not just a number, it's a relationship that I'm trying to establish with them. And I always emphasize to them that, you know, you might have come in for your estate planning documents, but there are other questions that might come up in life that involve legal questions. And I tell people, you got a legal question, I might not have the answer, but I know someone that will have the answer for you. So call me and we'll talk about it.
In that, I will say that you have done my own will and trust. So I had everything you say is true. You are an extremely calm, personable, and just an easy process to go through something that's a little touchy and very, very, very personal. And speaking of personal, tell us something about Mel Stack that we might not know.
Well, one of the things that's been, you know, besides my wonderful wife and my children, animals are a very important part of my life. And I've been involved in the Halifax Humane Society for over 25 years as a board member and as board president. So that's been one of my big things that I've been tried to help through the years, because, you know, animals can't do things on their own and they're totally dependent on humans. And I've tried to be a human that helps animals.
You have done so much for the Humane Society, and it has, I know it's been a team effort, but you've been an excellent leader, and wow, that's something that's really, really, the whole county has seen so many changes under the time you have been there. So what advice would you have for the residents or anyone else that might not be where they should be in their planning? What would you say?
I would say that, you know, we're all somewhat procrastinators, but you got to make the commitment. You've done a lot of things during this crisis that we've gone through, things that you wouldn't have done before. Now's the time to tackle this issue. Get it done and get it behind you, because once you've got it done, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Once you've done your estate planning, it's kind of like, well, I've got this done, it's off my list. You can check that off, and you don't honestly really have to come back unless there's been a major change in your family for another 10 years, 20 years. So it's a peace of mind that you get from doing it too. That's very important. So many people tell me that.
Oh, you are exactly right. So how can people find you?
Simplest way is just giving me a call at 386-255-1925, or you can reach me at my email address, melstack@bellsouth.net. Either way is a good way to get me. I'm not a very good typist, so I'll call you back. So if you email me, include your telephone number, please.
Excellent. Okay, Mel, thank you so much for spending this time with us, and thank
pleasure.
you for being a sponsor.
You're still the beautiful reporter that I first met back in the early 80s. We're still doing interviews 30 plus years later.
Thank you for being a part of Waterfront Life. It's really been a wonderful sponsorship partnership. So thank you.
It's been my honor. Thank you, Edie.
All right.
Bye-bye.